Hi everybody, Moshe Kafri, and today we are going to talk about different methods of training, from the very simple one, basic ones, to the more sophisticated ones. Each method of training have pluses and minuses. Nothing is perfect, but we'll go through all of those, and after we do that and I explain those in detail, we'll talk about neutering, spading, and food. Let's start with the basic method of training, which is motivation. We all want a happy-go-lucky dog that is eager and motivated to work for us and to do what we want. A dog that wants to please you is a great dog because he does whatever you ask him to. Now, the first thing to motivate dogs is food. Food will do wonders. But it has to be high value food, like rotisserie chicken, American cheese, fish, tuna, ham, any of those foods. High value treats, high value rewards, what I call, not the small cubicle stuff. Now, when you give those to dogs, they go crazy. They want to do anything you'll ask them. So it's the first way to motivate. Another way to motivate dogs is toys. For instance, this we use as to play tug of war with the dog. Out! Second thing that we use to play and motivate dogs. Second thing that we use to play and motivate dogs is a ball. A ball like this we can use to let the dog really get going. Sit. Another way to motivate a dog and play with them is the teaser. We tease the dog with this. Watch. Out. Out. And another way we motivate dogs through playing is a bite pillow. Usually we use this to perfect and make the dog bite a full bite, a better bite, when we teach protection. But at the same time, it's a great toy if you use it right, if you aim it right, if you target right, because otherwise the dog can get one of your hands and your fingers instead of the bite pillow. Out! Those are the ways to motivate dog through either food or toys. The next thing is training for basic obedience or service dogs, advanced obedience, protection, aggression, and housebreaking. So the first thing that everybody knows and we always use is the regular collar, right? And the 6-foot leash. So those two, you put it on the dog, everybody knows that. We control him, walking him around, controlling with the leash. On dogs that this does not too effective, we move on to something more aggressive. It's a choke collar, like this one here, okay? This. Or another choke collar is this one, that you put it like Alpha, come here. Come here. Like this. And you pull here. And so, again, choke collar will get the job done on a dog that is a little bit more stubborn and harder to train. And it's more effective than a regular collar. They don't have that much leverage. The next thing will be a prong collar. And prong collar, as you can see those teeth here, not only you can make it as a choke collar, when you put it on and you tighten it, it basically goes into the neck. And not too pleasant for me, definitely not that pleasant for the dogs, but it gets the job done because it sends a strong message to the dog that he better obey. Now, let's talk about the next one, which is a harness. And the harness, which actually we call in the training world an agitation harness, is basically meant to agitate the dog when we teach protection. The agitation harnesses, their sole purpose is to train protection dogs. And the last one that I'll talk about is remote collar. So remote collar, or what people call shock collar, or people call correction collar, there's many names to it. I call it remote collar because you use a remote to transmit a signal to the collar and to correct the dog. So here's a transmitter, this is a collar, and this is another way of training dogs. Now, we're going to talk about the pluses and minuses of each one of those. So, I'll start with the regular collar. So, or actually, I'll talk about food first. So, when you motivate a dog and you train through food and what we call positive only, you get results. The problem is they are not permanent results. Sometimes the dog feel like it, he will do it. Sometimes he doesn't feel like it, he will not do it. And you have no leverage and you have no way to control the dog if he doesn't feel like doing something, because the treat is not as attractive, let's say, than the squirrel down there, or another dog, or another human being. And as we all know, and when we train dogs, just positive only, this is a problem we all run into at the end of the day. There's only so much a positive only can do. Case in point, when you have a child and the child exhibits unwanted behavior, what you do? You give him a candy? No, you don't. You reprimand him. You put him in a corner, you know. You put him out for 30 minutes or whatever you want. You take his cell phone or you take whatever. You punish him in some sort of way to teach him that what he did you didn't like and he needs to change his behavior. Well, the same works with dogs, but the problem is that with a child you can reason, you can explain why. With dogs you cannot explain why. Why? With dogs, when it comes to a pack leader, it's all about physical touch. The second thing is hearing, and the third thing is seeing. So, when in a pack order, the pack leader, in order to correct a dog that lost his place or exhibits unwanted behavior, he will bite him. There will be blood, there will be cuts. Sometimes he will be just bitten, sometimes he will be expelled from the pack, and sometimes he actually will be killed by the pack leader. So we need some consequences for unwanted behavior. That's why positive only does not work that well. Second way is regular leash and regular 6-foot leash and a regular collar. This you can train the dog. Again, this is already negative because you put a collar and you pull on the dog. And what happens is you can get again results, but again they are not permanent. So you can convey a message that is not positive, but it's semi-negative and it's not really effective. When we move to choke collars, it's a lot more effective because they choke the dog. They make him feel very uncomfortable. So the results are better, and you can get permanent results with those. It just takes longer. Same works with a prong collar. The pressure of the prong collar will cause the dog to obey pretty quick and permanent over time. But what is the problem with choke collars and prong collars that I really don't like? Whenever I use those, and I do, sometimes the key word for me is gently. I'll use it, but I'll do it in a gentle way, not to hurt the dog. The problem with those is that they hurt the dog. It can cause alignment problems in the vertebrae up here on the neck. It can cause permanent nerve damage here. It causes esophagus damage, and so on and so forth. That's why I'm not a big fan of those. Again, those will get the job done over time and permanent behavior, but it's not going to do the job without damaging the dog in the long run. So I try to avoid those methods. Now, we'll move now to the agitation harness. People put it on and think that they have better control of the dog, but actually they don't. A regular collar with a 6-foot leash have a better control than this, because when you put this on a dog, you give him power. That's why we call it agitation harness, and we use it only in protection to give the dog power to now. People that put this and think that they don't cause damage here, it's true, they don't. The problem is they have no control over the dog. Now, a point that I want to make about this. When you go and you buy one of those, it will cost $32 and up. This one is around $200 because it's a professional one. When you buy a regular collar for a dog, it's $7, $8. So ask yourself, what the store that sells those things prefer that you'll buy. So when you go to those stores, they'll push this more than they will ever push this, because the bottom line is the most important thing for them. A sad truth. Now, the next one is remote collar. I'm going now to say something that will be pretty controversial, I believe, but it's the truth. This is the most humane way to train dogs. Period. Now, let me explain. This will never cause damage to the dog. All this does is working like a TENS unit. It delivers electricity in a certain level that you choose on your remote control. Now, this will never cause the dog to bleed. This actually emulates a pack leader bite, but with no damage to the skin, no bleeding, no broken bones, no damage to the nerves, no damage, period. It's the most humane way to train dogs. Versus the prong collar and the harness and the choke collar. So when people ask me what is my preferred way to train, I start with positive, and with high-level traits, and I move to remote color. Why? This will give you permanent results. Any way you look at it, I tried it all. This is the magic. But again, you need to know what you're doing. You cannot put it on a dog, crank it up, and light the dog up. Because now you are killing the dog's spirit, and you're not getting the results that you want, and you see a dog that is like this. You want a happy-go-lucky dog. So you need to know how to find the right range, how to work it. You have to understand the complexity of dog psychology in order to apply a remote control in the right way and use the right methods. So, to conclude, this is one that is my preferred one to train with because it doesn't cause any damage and it gets the job done permanently. So if you want a well-trained dog with high obedience, that's what you prefer to use. But you need a qualified trainer that knows what he's doing and can deliver the results that you expect. Now, talking about this, I heard some people say it's animal cruelty. I heard some people say that it's torturing the dog. Well, I have some news for you. If it's true, why my dogs are happy-go-lucky dogs? Why any dogs that I train with this, at the end of the training sessions, his tail is up, he's happy, he's fine. Yes, during the process, when you sometimes deliver a correction, the dog will not like it, and sometimes he will suffer a little bit because it's unpleasant to get a higher dosage of this in order to correct the dog that is stubborn and don't respond to a lower level. But again, if you don't cause the dog to yell or to scream, and if you don't, overdoing it, the same time you don't do it too low, but you use the right range that you have to find, you know how to read the dog body language, you understand dog psychology, you see what the dog is giving you, you'll know how to apply it right. Now, one of the things that I'm not going to mention names, but I went to several of the big stores, pet stores, and they sell all of what we see here, including this. But they have a training section, and they train positive only. A while ago, I went and I stood up there and I looked how this lady training those dogs. The results was laughable because she couldn't train the dogs because she used positive only. She saw that I had this in my hand, and she was criticizing me from buying in her store this. She told me this is an inhumane way to train. That's why she trains positive only. But she can get the results. The way she trains, it's what I call a Mickey Mouse training. There is no results. There's no permanent results. There's nothing there really. Because positive only never works. It works when the dog feels like it or if he's hungry. So, why I'm making this point is because the same stores that have a trainer that teach positive only, because they're afraid of the reaction of the mess, and maybe people will not go and buy because they use so-called animal cruelty or torture way to train, they put it on their shelves. So to me it's very hypocritical, because if you don't use it, don't carry it on your shelves. If you carry it on your shelf, recommend it as one of the training methods to train dogs. So that's what I wanted to discuss about those different training methods. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to feed the dog right. So usually I grew up in Israel. I grew up in a kibbutz, kibbutz Ein Harod Ichud, north of Israel.
Yeah.
And I grew up since I was, I guess, 7, 8, 6, watching how people train horses and dogs. And what we usually used to feed our dogs that used to roam the farm was leftovers. There was no such a thing of dry food. There was not such a thing of canned foods. We used to give them bread, cheese, eggs, milk, bones, whatever we could scrape and give to the dogs. The life expectancy of the dogs at this time was between 14 and 22 years on average. Today's life expectancy of dogs is between 8 and 14 years old on average. The reason is that all the food, the dry food and the canned food that we give to our dogs have a lot of preservatives in it. So they act exactly like any processed food that we eat as human beings. And what processed food does, as we all know, it shortens our life expectancy. And same goes for dogs. So when I feed my dogs, for instance, I'll give them a handful of dry food because it's have a lot of high protein and some other good stuff. But I mix it with leftovers from home. Rice, mashed potatoes, cheese, bones, meat, eggs, milk, any of those things. And trust me, my dogs live longer than normal because of that, because they have a better balanced diet. Now, I have friends that went to what they call a raw diet, which they feed their dogs live chickens or live red meat that is not even cooked. My dogs don't like it, but many other dogs do. And it's a very good way to go and feed your dog because it's pretty pure. And, if you buy it at Walmart, most likely it's checked, there's no salmonella, there's no other stuff, and it's safe to give to the dogs. Or if you buy it in any grocery store, regardless of the name. Now, so if you want your dog to live longer, watch what you are feeding your dog. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is about neutering and spading dogs. I understand where the vets are coming from and all the animal protective leagues and Humane Society and all of those. They are trying to control the dog population, which is a good thing because there's too many dogs that are being put down. So the point that I'm trying to make on this is, and most of the aggression cases that I trained, I found out that the dog became very aggressive after he was neutered or the female was spaded, which was surprising in the beginning for me, but then I started to read some literature on it and some researches, and I found out that the fact that we bring the testosterone level down does not mean that the dog will be less aggressive. In reality, in real life, and I look at nature, yes, for instance, dogs become more aggressive. And a lot of the cases that I have to deal with, aggression cases, the dogs were neutered and then they lost their minds. So that's why I'm not a big fan of neutering and spading dogs. I believe there's other methods that we can use, either to be a responsible dog owner and don't let him breed or get out there and looking for female dogs and reproduce, control those. And there's other methods that are out there that not required necessarily to spade or neuter dog. Some vets told me at the time that if a dog does not reproduce, a male, for 4 years straight, they are prone to develop cancer in their testicles. Well, I defy this research or whatever those vets say, and the reason is I always refer to common sense and to nature. So exactly like a dog in real nature does not eat every day, a pack of wolves or wild dogs, they just scrape whatever they can get wherever they can get it. Sometimes they don't eat for a couple of days. Sometimes they eat a lot, it depends. Well, and they live pretty long. And same with, if you look at a pack of wolves or a pack of dogs, who is the only one that breeds? Only the pack leader. So what happened with a pack that have 8, 9 females and 4, 5 males? The other 4, 5 males don't reproduce and they don't get to breed. So do they develop cancer? No, they don't. So that's my point why I don't believe in this, that they develop cancer or prone to in their testicles because they didn't produce for 4 years straight. So this might take it, again, it's my opinion on all those issues. You can take it and analyze it and draw your own conclusions. But I'll say this, you know, they say that opinions opinions like buttholes. Everybody has one. So with this being said, I would suggest to take everything that I explained today in the right proportions, and it's just some things to think about and to analyze and to research. But just wanted to share it with everybody, and if you have any questions, you can always call me, talk to me. If you need any suggestions of training, I'm available. If you need me to train your dog, I'm available in Colorado, particularly in the Denver metro area. So with this being said, I hope you enjoyed this informative tutorial video, and until next time, the difference maker, dog trainer, Moshe Kafri, at your service.